Donald Trump is back in the White House for the second time. So what does that mean for New York City? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about New York City, of course, and we're going to be talking about Donald Trump's return to the White House. Now, first off, I just want to start and say that this is not a political channel, right? We're not here to talk about politics. I genuinely do not care who you voted for. I don't care who your mama voted for, who your daddy voted for. I don't care who anybody voted for.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Right now, he's already in office, so it doesn't matter. So we're going to talk about what exactly may or may not happen, how this might affect you, how this might affect family members, the economy, the federal government in New York City in his second term. Now we're going to talk about what exactly may or may not happen during his term. And also, for a lot of people who never really been to New York City, I think it's important to start the video with the fact that New York City is not a overtly political place, right? We're not walking around talking about politics. Like, generally, politics don't come up. Had to turn the light on back there.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Now, generally, politics don't really come up in New York City. No one's really walking around talking about politics, right? Because this is a city where people come from all walks of life. The person you're talking to probably isn't even American and honestly probably doesn't even know that much about U.S. politics. So it's not something that's really talked about. And New York City is relatively a leaning blue or a leaning left. Not necessarily leaning right. New York State kind of has that, but New York City is a melting pot of a mix of people, is a melting pot of a very diverse group of people. So it's not very overly political, if that makes sense. And obviously, Donald Trump is a real estate mogul, quote unquote, within New York City. It's his hometown. So there's obviously going to be some back and forth between New York City, the federal government, and Donald Trump. So with that, let's get into it. Now, yesterday, January 20th, this video was recorded on January 21st, but yesterday, Donald Trump had signed a variety of executive orders, one of them being he's going to start cracking down on mass deportation and illegal undocumented immigrants in the United States. Now, for everybody who doesn't know, New York City is a sanctuary city. But what exactly does that mean? That means that New York doesn't necessarily have to cooperate with the federal government as much as other places when it comes to deportation and illegal and undocumented immigrants. And New York City for a long time has been a safe haven for immigrants, no matter where you're from, for that reason, because they can walk around knowing that, hey, I'm undocumented, but I'm here, I'm working, I'm contributing to society, but I'm protected. I know that the federal government in New York City likely isn't going to come knocking on my door or isn't going to come to my business and deport me or deport my family. And New York City thrives because of its diversity. And this is just one component that adds to that diversity. So reversing this would have major ramifications on a lot of families and people.
New York City is now bracing for what happens next. The city's home to more than 400,000 undocumented immigrants.
What do you think this will look like?
I think it may be a combination of many different kinds of raids.
Now, I don't know if any of you remember, but this is reminiscent of Trump's first term back from 2016 and 2020. We were dealing with the same thing. He was trying to do mass deportations. And why is this light not staying on?
Oh, shit. God damn it. Same shit, different day.
Now, the Trump administration is now trying to enact some stricter policies on immigration in New York City, like eerily reminiscent of what they were doing in 2016, but this time they're going to try it again. Essentially, what this means is there's probably going to be some tension between the federal government and New York City because New York City is likely not going to cooperate, or they're at least going to do some pushback. And I'm going to talk about Eric Adams and his stance on this in a second. But historically, New York City has been for immigration, has been for sanctuary cities. It has been for all of the rules that are in place that protect undocumented immigrants. So to see them change course now would be interesting, but I'm going to get to that next. Now, we all know Mayor Eric Adams is an interesting individual. So what does this exactly mean for him, and what does this mean for the undocumented immigrants? Mayor Eric Adams is under a variety of investigations. He is not in the best spot as far as public perception is concerned, and maybe even legally, right? So over the course of the past couple of months or weeks or so, he's kind of cozied up or gotten a little bit closer to the Trump administration because he knew that after he won, it's probably best for Eric Adams to be on his good side rather than his bad side. And he has been quoted saying saying that he's probably going to be leaning towards Trump's side when it comes to illegal immigrants in the New York City.
There's no restriction for the NYPD to coordinate with the various task forces around criminality. There's no restrictions. Nothing has changed there. We're going to continue to collaborate with all of our federal partners when it comes down to illegal behavior.
He's been on record saying how harmful it has been for the immigrants being bussed up here from Texas or other places, and how harmful it's been, especially from a crime standpoint, to New York City. And a lot of New York City residents are upset about this because they say that they're taking away jobs. We're giving all this funding and all this money, and they're getting access to things that New Yorkers don't even have access to, right? So it's a very, very touchy subject because in a lot of ways it does contribute to the fabric of New York City, but also in a lot of ways it does take away from some resources. Well, not necessarily take away. They do receive more resources than some of the American public do, but also there's a perception of what's true and what exactly true. So oftentimes Americans, we don't know some of the programs or some of the things that are afforded to us, and it may seem as though that another group is getting more protections or getting more services than yours, but sometimes you just got to do your research and dig a little deeper and find out exactly what you're eligible for. And back to Mayor Eric Adams, he's expressed concerns over limited resources or lack of resources that he has to provide for the already citizens here, not let alone the undocumented immigrants that are coming into the city. And if we roll back these sanctuary city policies, that is going to create some problems that New York City hasn't really had to deal with in a long time, because those jobs that you don't want to do, the cleaning jobs, the porter jobs, the jobs that don't pay very well, the illegal immigrants and undocumented immigrants are going to do those jobs because they don't have another choice. So if they're gone, yes, they may create opportunities, but at the same time, do Americans want to do those jobs? History would show that they don't. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the economic impact that Trump is going to have on New York City if these mass deportation policies are going to be implemented, right? Or if the rollback of sanctuary city policies are going to be implemented. Many undocumented immigrants have either their own business or do very high labor intensive jobs at a low wage. And oftentimes American citizens don't want to do those jobs. So think of your busboys, your chefs, some of your construction workers, the jobs that no one really wants to do. They're going to see some vacancies, but are they going to get filled is the question. And this is going to cause a ripple effect because it's not going to just affect the family. If dad of 2 children and a wife gets deported, that's going to affect the family greatly, but it's also going to affect the business that he works for. It's also going to affect the economy as a whole. As other businesses struggle to fulfill these positions, then maybe that business closed. And as a result, the vendor that they're buying from, maybe they close. So it's going to create a snowball effect that it won't crush New York City, but it definitely will be a different sort of energy and a different vibe than it was before. And when it comes to this immigrant issue, when it comes to people fleeing their country or leaving their country and coming here in search of a better life and want to work and want to contribute to the society and want to follow rules and follow the laws, those people, I don't have the answers. You know what I mean? I do also believe that you should follow the law and you should come here legally, but I also believe that life is complex and there are contexts to why people make certain decisions. If people know what the consequences are from coming to this country illegally and they choose to do it anyway, I think that should give you cause to pause and think about how dire their situations may have been in the other side. And now this is what brings in the humanity side of this, because oftentimes we get rid of that and we just look at the facts and look at what is and what isn't. But put yourself in those people's shoes. Imagine how difficult life must be for you to come over here and risk all of that. So if these are enacted, New York City would lose its foundation, its very fabric. In addition to all of that, he's talking about ending the birthright citizenship.
We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know.
The birthright citizenship means anyone born in the United States automatically becomes an American citizen, and it's protected by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution.
Now, what does that mean? That's a whole new can of worms that I can't even really wrap my mind around yet. So what you're also going to see is that I highly doubt that Donald Trump will intervene, at least in the very near term, when it comes to the congestion pricing and the tolls that are in New York City. As we know, he's from here. He opposed it. We know that Governor Kathy Hochul wanted to get this implemented before he stepped in office. And I got to be honest, I don't even really know what he can do about it. I don't know if he has power over anything like that, but I can say that he definitely has public influence, and he can put her on the spotlight and put her in a very awkward position to convince her to roll that back. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I do hope they at least reduce it. I don't know if they're going to get rid of it entirely, but once some of the data starts coming in, it'll be interesting to see how this money is spent, how much they're getting, and if this is feasible to continue doing, raise the price, lower it, keep it the same, or what have you. So just a couple of other things off the top of my head. You're probably going to start to see the protests outside of Trump Tower again. You're probably going to see more organized protests throughout New York City as he continues to roll back some of the things that maybe Biden has implemented or maybe Obama has implemented. So we may see a rise in social political activism, just like we did 2020 and shortly before that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. In addition to that, we might also see tension with the federal government. As I mentioned earlier, we might see some lawsuits. We might see just a lot of combative energy coming back and forth about what we should and should not do as far as immigration is concerned in New York City. No matter how you feel about it, he's undoubtedly going to have an impact on New York City. So comment below whether you like it, you're for it, you're against it. I don't really care. I just want to get some discourse going to see what you think about it. I know a lot of my subscribers don't even live in the United States. What are you thinking? How is your country and how is your region looking at New York City? How are we looking at the U.S., right? Are we looking at the U.S. as a joke? Are we looking at them as a guiding beacon, as an example of what we aspire to be? I would love to hear how you view the U.S. because I've met a lot of people from a lot of different places, and to be honest with you, they say the U.S. citizens are dumb. We need a map. We don't know where any other country is. We're uncultured. We're uneducated, and we think that we're the only place that exists. And honestly, I kind of agree with that. So educate me. Tell me how y'all feel. Tell me what's going on. Another thing I wanted to talk about, like off the top of my head, was he's rolling back a lot of climate regulations and policies that we have implemented over the last 10 or 15 years. And New York City is one of the most liberal cities and one of the most progressive cities when it comes to climate change and being proactive on that front. So it'll be interesting to see how New York City responds to him rolling back a lot of those policies. I'm just looking at a couple of my notes here, some things that I wrote down. And obviously he's going to do some adjusting to the tax code. So we'll see how New York City is going to suffer from that. We know that we already have high taxes, so maybe they're going to get even higher. Not too happy about that. That's going to do it for this video. If you like this video, man, like this video. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and all of my people who come every single week and come and support me. You guys have been amazing to me. Now help me support this goal of 1,000 followers. I want to get to that by May. I think it's possible with your help. So if you like this video, man, like this video and give me a thumbs up. Drop a comment below, and I'll see you next time.